Hello, welcome to my channel, Biblical Validity, where we look at how science and historical scholarship and logic all tend to point very strongly toward the reliability or validity of the Bible. And now this video is my introduction to a series on the 6 days of creation. And what I want to cover is how intricate, how complicated things were that God had to figure out how to make all this fit together. And the prevailing mainstream scientific view leaves out God in creation and just acts as if, oh, this just all came up naturally. I want you to see by the end of this that this universe required, the one we enjoy, really created a very good designer who's intricately involved in our personal lives in order to function. And so it's going to be interesting. Like for example, the first day of creation, doesn't look like God did much. He just said, "Well, let there be light," and there was light. It was good, and there was evening and there was morning. The first day. Okay. Um, wait till if you don't know about this stuff, wait till you see how complicated light is, what's required in it, how the things that allow us to have light also help hold everything together in this universe very, very well. So there's a lot more to this creation than meets the eye. The one thing I like to point out is that the Bible is not a science textbook. Okay, God did not tell us how he did it all. And there's a verse, I should have looked it up. It's in Psalms, I believe. It might be Psalms 24. Don't hold me to it. Where it says something like, "It is God's pleasure to conceal. It is the pleasure of kings to reveal." God's creation. Okay, I don't have that exactly worded right, but basically in Psalms, it was recognized that yeah, God didn't tell us everything, but He really wants us to find Him to figure out how He did things, and that's a great thing about science. How did God do it? And the old great scientists of yesteryear, Sir Isaac Newton, Johannes Kepler, Galileo Galilei, a bunch of others, James Clerk Maxwell, they recognized that there was a creator God, and they wanted to figure out how He did it. Okay, so but as I've pointed out other places in this site, is that science has the mainstream science, I call it, has worked for over 200 years trying to replace God with nature, natural processes. And so that's what we're up against. Okay, so let's get into this introduction to the Genesis creation account. Mainstream science rejects the Genesis account of God's creation of the universe in 6 days as an ancient, unfounded myth refuted by modern science. Okay, um, I'm afraid some of those people think that those of us who believe in the literal Bible think we're just plain stupid. All right, and I don't think all of them do. The thing about when you make a generalization about groups of people, it's not all true. Okay, there's some very respectful scientists out there, and actually, I believe about half the scientists do believe in God of some sort, and the and so they're not all atheists, and but the scientific mainstream does push, without saying it, does push a very atheistic worldview that never includes God in anything. And so that's what's influenced our education in this world to a great extent. All right, so let me move on here. Most of the world, including actually a large number of Christians, accept the mainstream science view and believe that science has proven the Bible, or at least in Genesis, is wrong. All right, now obviously Christians don't believe science has disproven all the Bible. But quite a few of them do not don't believe in Genesis. Well, science has figured all this out and has proven that the Genesis account was just old mythological stuff. Okay, that's a big world view in this world, and the mainstream media, backs it up. The education establishment backs it up, and so that's what we're up against. Okay, but I'm here to help show that really the evidence is looking very good that the Bible got it totally right. And I hope that's an eye opener for you in case you weren't quite sure. Okay. So what is the truth of this whole situation? And by the way, I put my camera up. I hope it looks better, and I hope I don't doesn't get too wobbly here. I'll try not to bump the table. Okay, so what's the truth of this whole situation? And there goes a motorcycle down the road. You can probably hear it. I'm in the cabin today, got the windows open, and it's a very, very warm day. It's almost a summer day. My thermometer is reading 89 degrees. And if you knew where I lived, you'd think that's impossible. It's very warm in many parts of this country right now. Okay, well, there seems to be only two very major sides to this creation account issue. Now, in the scientific sense, both are theories. We have to be intellectually honest. The biblical account is a theory. When you look at it through the lens of science, it's not science. It's just an account, and doesn't attempt to prove itself. Okay. Now, so the mainstream scientific account, I have 3 points here I'd like to cover. The universe owes its existence, the universe owes its entire creation to totally natural processes over at least 13.8 billion years. Let me stop a minute. That's their best evidence. So when you look out at telescopes, and the astronomers are very good at measuring distances, and they take into account a lot of things going on out there. It's pretty convincing that it appears that the universe is about, I think the latest number I heard is 46.5 billion years in radius, or 93 billion years in diameter, but that the farthest light, has reached us from 13.8 billion years. Okay, it's because the universe expands faster than the speed of light, and in many cases. So it's an interesting issue, but the belief and the evidence really is persuasive in a sense of what we're observing, that the universe is 13.8 billion years old. What else could it be, you know? And I think that's their stance. It's like, well, what other theory could there be? You know, how in the world can you get light coming from that far away in less than 13.8 billion years? And that's a good question. That's a very good question. And the young Earth creationists, people who are do believe in the biblical account. There are some very good scientists. I can think of one astrophysicist who's working on this, uh, Dr. Jason Lisle. He's also very good at logic. He's written a book on logic, and which I own, but I haven't read yet. But there are others. There's many others out there, scientists who do believe in the biblical account, and they do look at these issues. And I would say one thing is that mainstream science is not really paying much attention to is our local neighborhood. It's believed that the sun and the earth are around 4.5 billion years old, but when you look at a lot of evidence out there on Earth and in the solar system, um, it's really pointing to a far younger solar system. Okay, much younger. We're talking about could be 6,000 years old rather than 4.5 billion years old. And so, and we're gonna talk about all this in due course on this channel. And but it's out there. A lot of people talk about this, but it doesn't get any mainstream press. So it's out there, and I will point to some wonderful sources where you can, if you want to get a deeper into the details of the science, and want to listen to someone who's really an expert in those fields, then I'll point to some wonderful sources for you. Okay. All right. So now, if the universe is not eternal, then there is as yet an unexplained process which created our universe: time, space, matter, and energy from nothingness. So really, the mainstream scientific account is that either the universe is eternal, which we have a lot of evidence it can't be. Actually, going back to the 1800s, the second law of thermodynamics really cast a lot of doubt that we could have an eternal universe that just, was always here. And so, if not, then where did all this come from? There had to be a creation moment. Currently they call it the Big Bang. It's one of their theories. And but where did all that matter and energy come from? Okay, nothingness does not produce something. All right. So, and they're working on this. They have various theories on the mainstream side. Some of them are theorizing that maybe there's infinitely many universes, multiple universes, multiverses, and we just happen to live in one where all the constants of nature and the laws of nature just work together perfectly for us to have life. And so uh, that is so incredibly improbable. And yes, if there are you know, if you accept their premise that there are infinitely many universes and that all the laws of natures and the constants of nature are random, somehow random, I don't know why that would be, then there's bound to be a universe out there that would support us, support life. And here we are. We're lucky. All right. There's absolutely no way to prove this, no way to demonstrate it, no evidence for it. It's just they're theories in order to avoid the Genesis account. Okay. So, point number two, life arose from non-life by random processes of nature. Life evolves by random mutations and natural selection. Ooh, okay. This is pretty easy to debunk, I got to tell you. In recent years, we have through electron scanning microscopes, through understanding in genetics, by just attempts in the lab to create the molecules of life. The it falls flat. It falls flat, and the evidence shows that it probably never will work. Can never create life in the lab, or even the molecules that we have. We can't create the protons and the amino acids and everything we need. Um, and I'll have some videos on this. And life evolves by random mutations and natural selection. I think that's pretty easy to refute now. That whole Darwinian evolution idea is does it just doesn't seem to be working very well. All right. Then point three. The fact that we are fortunate to live in a universe where all the constants of nature are finely tuned and all the laws of nature that support life are consistent, it's just purely coincidental. Okay, that's the point. That oh, hey, we got lucky. Here we are, and it's probably because there's infinitely many universes out there. They just keep popping up all the time. All right, again, just these are theories that can never be demonstrated. Okay, so that's kind of my summary, according to me, the mainstream scientific account, according to me. And I know there's a lot of debate in all these issues out there, and it's not a strictly true thing, but it does kind of present that facade, the whole I call it the deep state science, which controls scientific education. They influence the media to report things their way, and in order to convince us that oh, God wasn't necessary for this. It all that's out there, and so we can dispute that. All right, now from the biblical account, an all-powerful supernatural being we call God created the universe in 6 24-hour days, approximately 6,000 years ago. It's hard to wrap our minds around. A lot of us. It was for me for decades. You know, it's only the past maybe 6 years. I got saved and I started looking at all this and realizing, wow, the evidence is very strong for the Bible. It's all valid. It's very strong. And so I can wrap my head around this, and I'm going to give you tons of information on this website as we go along, pointing to all this. So that's not so far-fetched as people think. And how could God do this in 6 days and 6,000 years ago? That's why we call him God, right? All right, there you go. And yeah, yes, a being, all-powerful being that lives outside of time, creates time, space, and matter and energy, has the power to do this. Why not? Okay, but I can't prove it. All right, I can't prove it to anybody's, secular type of understanding. And so we have to come at these things in faith. And that's just, I think really that's my personal view is that's the way God set it up, that he wants our choice to spend eternity with him to be totally free will. That it has to be our choice. And okay, so part two, God, biblical account, God created humans in his image and is very personally involved in our lives. Yeah, that's an interesting point to argue. And the Bible is inspired by God and is reliable. Boy, there's so much. All the evidence really points very well this way. All right, now, I'm just telling you that. I don't expect you to take my word for it. If you're a skeptic, that's fine. Be a skeptic, and but if you're open-minded, give us some time between me and the experts out on the internet who are doing videos or writing about this stuff. Give us some time to make our case, and you might be surprised. Okay. Now, individually, most people have accepted either side of the debate as being proven to their satisfaction. Okay, this forms part of the basis for our worldview and is accepted in faith. So, um, as a Christian, we have a faith in Christianity, we have a faith in Jesus and God and all that good stuff. Um, there are other world religions; they have their faiths based on their worldview, and the scientific mainstream has created a faith, which no, not all professional scientists embrace that faith, but the faith is that the universe is ancient, very ancient. That it created itself pretty much. Life created itself from nothing, from non-life, and go on down the list. And that's really the basis of their faith. I probably don't want me to call it a faith, but what else can you say about that? The they say, well, it has to be true because the theories, all the evidence we're collecting backs us up. Well, here's something interesting. We are sometimes we look at evidence and try to find a theory to fit it. Okay, and so that's what they do. And like, well, okay, here's the evidence we got, and we have this faith, we have this theory that oh, um, there is really no God behind all this. There is you go down these scientific materialistic lists, and their theories are they believe that confirms their theories because the evidence tends to point that way. All right. Um, well, it's a weak foundation. I gotta tell you. Okay. All right. Now, individually, most people have accepted. Oh, I think I already read that one. There we go. But in a general sense, both sides of this debate are theories which are scientifically unproven for the simple reason that we cannot go back in history to witness what actually happened, nor can we recreate the universe as a lab experiment. Okay, that's the bad news about all this. Okay, we can't prove it. They're theories, um, and we can, however, weigh the evidence. We do have a way to look at this. All right, so here's my thinking here. Those who are working on a false theory will find that the evidence for the theory, when examined closely, will tend to contradict their theory and require revisions. Now, scientific-minded people will tell you, well, that's just the way it goes in science. We're always having to revise our work. We come up with great theories, and we think they're true, and once in a while we it needs some tweaking. Okay, it's kind of normal progression of science. Okay, I'll go along with that. But think about this. Those who are working on a true theory will find that the evidence tends to confirm that theory. And so um, we're finding a lot of evidence of that keeps confirming that this is a young universe and had to be created by God in 6,000 years. You can't do evolution in 6,000 years, for example. And so anyway, that's how we can weigh the evidence. How's it going? How's it going for your side of your theories? Do you have to keep running into obstacles? And boy, do they. On the mainstream side, they do. Particularly when we look at every time they send a new big telescope up there, they discover new things that just makes no sense. They have to go back and revise their theories, and that I think that's always going to happen, personally, because I think the real theory is the Genesis account. Okay. Um, in essence, weighing the evidence is a lot of what this channel is all about. Does the evidence support the validity of the Bible or not? And spoiler alert, okay, more recent evidence, mostly over the past several decades, tend to support the biblical account. And in some cases, quite strongly. So still a lot of work to be done in that area. And we'll always be learning new things about God's creation. And so I think that's quite normal. But yeah, I think you'll find um, go through this evidence, you'll be like, wow, it's looking good for the Bible. Okay, so this video begins a day-by-day overview of the deep science behind each day of creation. The point is to illustrate the meticulous care God took in crafting His creation, and boy, did He! Each day there's a lot to talk about, like water, how incredible water is, how incredible electromagnetism is, and how do plants live, things like this. Oh, we can go on and on and on. So I hope you enjoy the look at the science and all this and realize that our wonderful creator God created it in a way that it just all fits together wonderfully, wonderfully. All right, so All this points to our Creator, not to random processes through which, by impossible odds, coalesced into the very complicated and incredibly beautiful creation. All right, so it's kind of my point to these videos, and we'll get into next will be the day one of creation. I want to mention that I did a preview video, Who Wrote the Book of Genesis? I got a link below. And actually, it was the first video I did for this channel, and I had a different idea of how I was going to proceed. So I started with the book of Genesis, and now I'm finally returning back to it. But that might be interesting. Who wrote the book of Genesis? And and most people know who it is. It was Moses. But a deeper treatment of the first verse of the Bible, the most amazing sentence ever written, is also linked below. So I can go a little faster on the first day of creation, but that first line of the Bible is incredible, just loaded, and with all kinds of neat stuff. But I have a video on that, the most amazing sentence ever written. So I encourage you to watch that. Okay, well, I think I'll cut it off here. I'll quit my rambling and hope you enjoy all this. The just a this I won't say this every video, but it helps to get this information out, these videos out. If you like these videos, that is, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Share it with someone. Hit the share button and leave a comment. All this aids Google's algorithm in deciding how to promote these videos and get them out to people through various search engines and so forth. Okay, well, with that in mind, we'll go on to the first day of creation, and let's roll credits.